Hello and welcome to our Apple Keynote class. My name is James Hill and I'm an instructor for Learnit. Now, as a longtime Apple and Mac user, I am really excited to show you the features of Keynote today. Now, if you're a Microsoft PowerPoint user, I think you're going to love how intuitive this program is. And if you've used Keynote before, well, this training is going to help you speed up your creation process, and you may even learn some new functions along the way. Keynote is a truly powerful presentation program, especially considering that it comes free with a new Mac purchase. Now, what are we going to learn about in this class? Well, we'll start by creating a presentation, but we'll also show you how to add photos, charts, and sound to your slides. Then we'll kick that up a notch by adding some video and animations to your presentation. We'll work on creating a custom theme, which is going to save you a lot of time, especially when you have to create multiple presentations for the same organization, and will even help you import PowerPoint presentations into Keynote. Then finally, we'll learn to rehearse and present your slideshow and wrap it up with all the options you have to publish your Keynote presentation. Now, as you can probably imagine, you're going to want to pause this and try it yourself, so make sure you're viewing this class where you have access to Keynote to open it and to follow along with all the things that we do. Occasionally, I'll tell you to pause the video and try it. Oh, and one more thing, many of these functions translate to the iPad version of Keynote as well. So when you're finished with this training, you'll be a power user on the iPad version as well. Now, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're looking to earn certificates and watch videos without ads, please take a moment and sign up for Learnit Anytime. It's our dedicated training and subscription service. Now, check the link in the description for more information. As we go through this training, if you have a question that we don't cover that you need answered by one of our instructors, please join our offsite community. The link for that is also in the description. Oh, and before we get started, this course does have exercise files, and you're going to find the link for that, you guessed it, in the video description below. Now, my hope is that you're watching this on your Mac already, so let's get ready to go. Okay, as Julie Andrews said, let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. So you're looking at my MacBook desktop, and yes, it really is that clean. So how do we open Keynote? Well, there are a few ways to open it. The easiest is to use the launcher, and that's right here. It looks like a bunch of little Post-it notes in a white box. You'll click on the launch pad and then look for the icon for Keynote. It looks like a music stand or a podium on a blue background. Now, if you're like me and you're a longtime Mac user, you may be already familiar and can go the long way around. Click on the Finder, and then you'll click on Applications and scroll down until you find Keynote and open it there. Now, if you're like me and you use Keynote a lot, you're going to want to do this as well. Once you have it open, right-click on the icon, then click on Options and Keep in Dock. And look there, it's right here with all the other applications that you use quite a bit. Now, go ahead and pause the video, get Keynote open, and you might want to add it to your dock as well, and I'll be waiting when you come back. Now, you notice mine opened up with a Finder window looking to open a file. And of course, that's not where we really want to start. We're going to open a brand new presentation. And if yours opens up the way mine does, in this case, we're going to click on New Document. Most users, it's going to open this way by default. Now, as you look at these templates, you'll see that Apple has some really great eye-catching themes for you to choose from. You can scroll through these top to bottom using your mouse or your touchpad, or you can click on each section on the left side of your screen. There's basic, minimal, bold, and so forth. And notice that there's an arrow as you're looking at all of the themes. There's arrows that allow you to scroll through and look at the different ones based on the section headers that you choose as you go through these. Now, another thing that Keynote does for you is to format your slides to match your screen. For instance, if you're presenting on a widescreen monitor like we are here, or even in a theater situation, you might want to choose 16:9. If you're using this on a standard computer monitor or even in a meeting room, you might want to choose 4:3. Just be sure you have a good idea of which venue you'll be presenting in. However, Keynote is very intuitive if you have to change when you get there, so there's no need to be anxious. The program makes things very easy in that regard. Now, let's just choose a template and create a new presentation. For this part of our demo, let's choose the basic black theme. And because we're working on a Mac, your screen's already optimized for 16:9. Just click on that, and then it's going to create, and it will load the theme and get ready for you. Now, just a quick note, if you want to go ahead and save your presentation, you can do that just like with other programs. Click on File and Save. But Keynote is automatically going to save your changes in the background, even on a presentation you haven't saved yet. Just be sure to save it when you're done, or when you close the program, it won't save your changes unless you save the name as well. Now, this is a perfect time for you to pause and do just what I showed you on your own computer. And while you have this paused, be sure that you have downloaded the demo folder that we have for this training. Don't worry, I'm going to be waiting for you right here when you come back. All right, you're back. Now we're really going to get things going. For the remainder of this training, we're going to use the demo folder that we just downloaded, and we'll edit the Keynote demo file that's there. Now, let's get that open, and you have the option of clicking File and Open, or you might be like me, I'm a bit of a keyboard junkie. Sometimes that's just more efficient than mousing around and clicking. You can click Command and the letter O, and it will bring up the File Open window as well. Now let's open the demo file. You're probably going to find it in your Downloads folder, just like this. And we'll scroll down to find our Apple Keynote demo file. And here we go. Now, first, we want to make sure that our work area is ready to go. You're going to need the View button up here on the upper left-hand corner, and make sure that it's showing the thumbnails if it isn't already. That's by clicking View and then Navigator. Now we want to make sure the Format pane is open for us to edit things as well. We'll need this quite a bit too. Just click on the little paintbrush over on the right side of your screen that says Format, and there you go. Now, our presentation is all loaded, but now we need to edit it. First, let's look at some slide layouts. Now, if you've worked with other versions of Keynote, there was a thing called a master slide. In the more recent versions, to keep things on the same playing field as the iPad version, they've changed this, and now it's called slide layouts. Now, how does this affect you? Well, it works a little more like this. With a master slide, every slide you create will have the same theme as all the other slides when you work on them, and it saves you a ton of time as you create a new slideshow. Let's look at our demo file as we work on master slides, or in our case, the slide layouts. Here's how you find it. Click on the View button over on the top left of your screen, and then go down to Edit Slide Layouts. And there you go. Now, as you select each slide on the left side, you'll see all the available options for layouts that you have in this particular theme. These are master layouts for each type of slide. Now, you can start here and make sure these are just what you need for your presentation, or you can even use them in another way. First, let's edit the title and subtitle slide of this master layout, the one right here at the top. Just click on the slide, and now let's do a little edit here. Let's take the title text up just a little bit. Let's drag it until the letters are even with the top of our format line there. There we go. And now let's see about the subtitle. I don't think I like that on the left. Let's make that go to the right. So we'll use our Format button over here on the right, and we'll click Text, and then let's center that up. As a matter of fact, let's even change that to the subtitle format. And there we go. Now it matches the subtitle font type. And every time you create a title and subtitle slide with this template, it's going to match this one. Click Done right down here on the bottom of your screen in the blue bar. And you're done for now. Now we'll cover the other way to use these layouts in a few minutes. Go ahead and pause the video and edit your layout like I just did here, and I'll wait until you're done. Great! Now it's time to get our presentation organized. We need to check our outline. To see what you have already, click on View over here on the left side of the screen, and then down to Outline. And look, much of our outline is done for us already. Keynote automatically takes your slide titles and converts them to points on your outline, and even places bullet points underneath like this. By the way, this gives you another place to edit a lot of those items. Notice as we change this slide right here where we just accidentally changed it to Rev, let's make it Review, and look, it changes it right there on the main slide as well. But what if your slide doesn't have a title? Well, the outline is the place for that as well. Simply click on a slide that does not have a title, and you can type it right in just like that. You can even copy and paste text there. If you have a list of slide titles and you don't want to retype it, you can just use Command-C to copy and Command-V to paste, or you can right-click and see those options as well, just like this. Now, here we go. Another chance for you to try it. We'll see you in just a minute. Now we need to format some text here. Let's take a look at this slide. I think the text layout may be different for every single line. Super easy fix. Let's just select the text and select the format window over here to the right. And now we'll get them all lined up together. There we go. That changes it very easily. Now you can also change fonts, you can change the size of the font, and all the other things that you might do with a word processor. Now, what if you need to customize the fonts for a whole document? Well, let's take a look at this. On this last slide, this is a quote. We have some text that we need to change, and in this case, you're going to see we have a quote, but oh my gosh, that's papyrus. Who uses that anymore? The font just doesn't match the rest of the document, even though we changed it to quote style. So let's update the font here in the format pane. Select the text, and then click on the center of the tab under Format that says Text. Now we're going to make sure that it's designated as the quote style, which it is, and let's change the font to match. Let's go to Work Sans here, and notice that under quote it says Update. We're going to click that, and now every time we select quote style in our document, it's going to update that everywhere that we have that quote style selected. Now, it's your turn to try this. Go ahead and pause the video, and we'll return in just a moment. Okay, I told you a moment ago that we would do another thing with the slide layouts. This may be one of the biggest singular time savers of all right here. Let's say you've got a presentation ready, and then someone realizes that you have the wrong logo in the corner. Oh no, what'll we do? Look at this slide. This one looks like we've got a logo from the 1970s here. We've got a much more updated logo now. So a lot of our slides may have that. How do we have to change each one individually? No, slide layouts to the rescue. Here we go. Let's go back to the slide layouts pane on the left of our screen, but we're going to go a different route this time. So if you tap on the body of your slide, you'll notice that on right here on the format side, you see Edit Slide Layout. Click that and voila, it takes us right to the layout for that very slide without having to search for it. Now let's replace that logo like this. There's our logo, image. Oh, look, there's a replace button right here. And we're going to find the new logo. Open that. Bingo, bango. There we go. Magically changed. Now, be sure to click Done in the blue bar at the bottom to keep those changes. Now, let's say, for instance, you have one like this. This one in particular just needs a little bit of a layout change. We realized that we didn't just need these bullet points, but we need a photo to go with it. Well, let's change the layout this way. Click on the body of the slide, of course, and then over on the right side under Format where it says Slide Layouts, let's change that to Bullets and Photo. And look there, cool, it moved our bullets over for us and even gave us a place for the photo. Okay, it's your turn. Give all of this a shot on your own, and I'll see you in just a minute. Now, another thing you might want to do in your layout pane is to create different types of photo-enabled slides. You might find yourself creating a slideshow that is recognizing different employees or executives, and you want to make those uniform, of course, and easy to create. So let's make our own photo master slide. Now we're already in the Edit Slide Layouts mode, so let's create a new one. And the safest place to do that, of course, is with a blank slide. So we're going to click down there, and then we'll right-click on that and click New Slide Layout. Now it's going to create a copy based on the one that you right-clicked on. So we're going to rename this one Employee Recognition. If I can learn how to type there. All right, now we're going to use just one of the photos that we already have in our folder. Work from home one will do. So we're just going to insert media just like this. We're going to go down to media and choose. And then we're going to scroll down to work from home one and insert it here. Now that's going to fill up our screen pretty well. Let's bring this down a little bit, center it up. And there we go. Nice. Okay, so let's shrink it just a little bit just to make sure that we've got plenty of room for our title and our caption. Now let's add some text to the top. Drag that up here, and let's change the size to title. And we're going to put that in the center as well. And then let's put a caption at the bottom. We'll hit another text box and bring that down to the bottom. And we'll let that stay in the caption format. And there we go. This one is ready to go. Now our photo is still just going to be a photo until we tell it otherwise. Now, click back on the photo, and at the bottom of the Style tab on the Format side, see Format, then Style on the right. At the bottom of that, you'll see a box that says Define as Media Placeholder. We're going to check that box, and now a little icon comes up on the bottom right corner of our photo that indicates it's a placeholder. Now you have a photo master. There you go. Pause the video for just a few minutes while you do that, and I'll wait right here. Okay, let's work with tables for a little bit. First, let's get out of this view. We're still in our Edit Slide Layouts view, so let's exit that. And then in our navigator, let's go down to slide number 6 in our navigator on the left, and let's get ready to add a table. Now you can use the mouse and click on Table here on the button on the top of your screen. That's going to give you some options on design and color scheme as you scroll through all of those. You can also use the File menu by clicking on Insert and then Table. And in this case, we're just going to use a basic table, so let's click on Basic. There we go. That looks pretty nice. Now, one of the things you'll find is that tables in Keynote work just like they do in Numbers, the spreadsheet program. If you haven't worked with Numbers yet, be sure to check out our training on that program as well. For this training session, we're going to do some light work on a table. Now, you can select cells and merge them just like this. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and select 2 cells and merge them just like that. That even gives us a place for a title slide. Now, let's go and see if we can put some data in there. You can enter numbers anywhere in this, but we have a text file in our demo folder that is called Table Data. Now, let's get that opened up. We're just going to go down to the Finder, and we'll go down to our Downloads folder, Keynote Training, and there is our file called Table Data. There we go. Opens right up in a very easy word processing program. So now we've got text we can copy and paste in. Let's go ahead and copy those. We can either right click like this and copy, or you can do Command C. And then if you just copy it directly, it's going to be some very small text like this. So let's change that. Command Z or undo to do that. And then let's right click in the cell and click Paste and Match Style. Now that's going to match the style that's in our table already. Let's do that with the rest of our data here. There's our next title for the slide. We'll right click, copy, and then we will right click and paste and match style. And one more time here. And here. And now let's get our final one, our average days total, and paste it here. Whoops, we did the wrong one. Let's undo that and paste and match style. That's much better. Now we know what our numbers are, 7, 8, and 10. Those are easy to remember, so we'll just type those, 7, then 8, and then 10. By the way, I'm using the down arrow key to get to those cells. Now, this table is a little large for our cell. We don't really need these extra columns over here, so let's change this by clicking on the little double lines on the right side of our column and go down to 2 columns. And then we can make those fit a little better by shrinking them down. And we'll take our table and center it up by clicking on the round dot over here. That lets us drag the whole table over to get into a place where it looks better. Now that fits our screen much better. Now, again, tables work just like they do in a spreadsheet. So our table's not complete. We need to know the total of days in here. Again, just like a standard spreadsheet, you can enter formulas by typing the equal sign as you get to a cell. So we're going to select that, hit equal, and now it's ready for us to type a formula in. It even shows you some of the formulas over on the right side in the Format tab. For this one, all we need to do is select these 3 cells, and it's going to assume we want a sum of those. Man, that's really easy. Hit the return key, and there you go. There's your total automatically calculated for you. Now, your turn. Pause the video, add a table, calculate that up, and we'll be back in just a minute. Oh, one more thing before we finish this section. I bet you'll notice that productivity is misspelled. It should be showing a red underline. Boy, am I embarrassed. Let's fix that by mousing over this misspelled word. We'll double click it and right click on it. And wow, look at there. It automatically can correct our spelling for us. Now, before you click that though, notice that there are a couple of things that you might want to do on your specific computer. You can either ignore spelling or learn spelling. Let's say you work with a company that you want it to autocorrect the company name when it may be a common word, like Learnit, for instance. You can click on Learn Spelling, and your computer will help you with this system-wide. Now, let's fix my mess here. That's much better. Okay, that's the end of this section. Let's review really quick. We learned how to open Apple Keynote, and we chose a theme and a slide size. Then we learned about the new terminology for master slides, that's slide layouts. We outlined a presentation and even pasted some text in there. We formatted text, customized a layout, even added a table and calculated the value of the table cells. We even took a minute to fix my spelling errors. Now, before we move to section 2, go ahead and review what we've done so far on your own. Pause the video, and I'll talk with you again in just a moment. All right, welcome back. Well, so far, I think you're finding that Keynote is a really easy program to work with, and we're about to find out just how easy it is to make your presentations really pop with photos, charts, and sound. Let's get started. So, remember that slide in our demo presentation where we changed the layout to one with bullet points and a photo? Well, you know, that leopard really doesn't kind of fit with our presentation, so let's go change that. Scroll over to that slide. Here on the left, you see it in the thumbnails. And now let's change the photo that's there. Simply select the photo, and then look to the right in our format pane. You see Style, Image, and Arrange. Let's click on Image. Now you're going to see the option to replace it. So let's replace that with one in our demo folder. We'll click Replace. And then right here, let's use Work From Home number 2. That's great. Hey, there we go. That looks much better. You just replace the photo. Now that works on any slide that you create from your templates that already contain photos as well. Now, what if you need to add a photo from scratch? Well, you have several options here as well. First, you can just simply find a file using the Finder and drag it in. And let's create a new blank slide. Actually, we have one created for us right here. And let's add a photo. We're just going to navigate to the demo folder. We're going to click on the Finder window. And there we are in Keynote Training. There's our demo folder. Let's drag that Work From Home number 1 file in here. And my, that's very large. It's a little too big for our slide. Let's shrink that a little bit. And then we'll center it up. Guidelines pop up and help us out with that nicely to get things centered. There you go. Now you can also do this by using the icons at the top of your screen. You just click on the media button right here at the top, and you have several options available. But I'm guessing you don't want your vacation photos in there, so instead of clicking Photos, which will open up that application to choose from your photos that you've loaded into your computer, we're just going to use Choose, and that takes us to the Finder again, where you can add just like we did before. Now I'll cancel that because we already have a photo in this one. Now, Keynote has some powerful options for adding photos in the background as well. Let's change one and see. Let's take this very same slide that we have, and we're going to click on the body of the slide just like this. Now, notice that your format pane on the right side changes where you can edit the format of the slide just like we've done before. But let's change that background from a gradient fill to an image fill. Now, it's going to go to a default image fill, that gray slate looking thing, but let's click one of our photos in our demo folder and change that. Let's click on Choose, and let's find something colorful like, let's try this Miami skyline and see how the bottom of that looks. Look at there. You can see Miami showing up at the bottom of our slide, but you kind of get the idea how that works. It was really easy. Now take a moment and you try that. I'll be right here when you get through pausing the video, and we'll move on to the next portion when you're done. Okay, let's keep this slide consistent with the rest of our slides. So we're just going to undo that a couple of levels just because we were doing that for fun, and get it back to match the rest of our slides. Now, let's suppose that we have a photo that needs a little help to stand out. Now, all the controls that you need are right here for you in the format pane. So we're going to select our photo, and you can see you can do some simple exposure and saturation controls with this. Let's drag those around and see what they look like. Or a little saturation, we'll take it to the grayscale or really high color. Then you also have the option to click Enhance. Now here you have full control of your photo and can make it match what you need. The little lines next to Enhance are going to give you all of those controls in a box that pops up right over here. Exposure, contrast, saturation, all of these things, even the tint controls to match all this. And we can even reset the image back to the default. Personally, I like to click Enhance, and it does some things automatically that make these photos really pop on there. So I know that was really short and really easy, but pause the video, take a few minutes and play with that, and I'll resume whenever you're ready to go. Now, perhaps you need to put multiple photos on a page, and then you need to have them in a particular order. Now, that really is kind of simple as well. You have full control not only of the layers, but rotation, position, and size. And of course, all of this is available in the File menu at the top by clicking on Arrange, and then you'll see all of these. You can bring them forward, you can align them, distribute, flip, lock, all of those things are available. But let's use the Format pane on the right. Now, first, let's select this second slide. Man, this one needs a lot of help. It shows the different locations of the company, but you can't even really see the titles, and the logo is blocked too. First, let's work with the mask on these photos, and let's kind of make them a little more even and a little easier to read. Let's drag them out into different positions so we can see what's going on here. And you have to be careful with your touchpad. If you click too far to the right, it will automatically assume that you want to edit the mask on these. In this case, we just want to move the photos around. Here we go. Let's drag this one down. And let's take this one over here and move it into place. Now these are in better positions, but now we can't see them. So now we have to double click on a photo, and let's edit the mask on this one. Drag it up so we can see the title a little bit. We can even shrink that photo down so that it fits our mask a little better. That's much nicer. What about this one? Let's edit that mask just a bit. Shrink it down to match the other one a little bit better. Much better. Now, let's do the same with these two. We'll edit the mask some, and we'll shrink the photo to fit the mask a little better. Move it into position. That's even better. And one more here. We'll shrink this one down. Slide it over a bit so we can see the Space Needle there from Seattle. But wait, that one's still bleeding off the edge. Let's see if we can fix that. And we'll drag the mask in just a bit. Nice. Now let's get that one into position. Okay, now these look good, but they can be better. Could be a lot better. So what if we dress these up a bit? So let's select one of these photos and notice that in the Format tab we have Style, Image, and Arrange. Let's click on Style, and then under Border, let's change that to a picture frame, and we want to make sure that that's selecting a rounded rectangle type picture frame. We don't want it to have the white border, we just want it to be rounded itself. See, that looks great. Now, watch this. As you select that one, if you've selected it before, change it to picture frame, and there we go. Now it did the same with each one of these. As we select them, change the border, and it's going to select that same type of picture frame for each image as we need them. Let's shrink that Washington, D.C. down just a bit in the frame. Nice. That looks really good. Okay, now pause the video and try this on your own, and I'll be waiting here when you get back. Okay, so now that center logo is still not quite what we need it to be. So let's grab that, and then let's move it to the middle. Oh, there we go, grabbing that mask again. Let's center that logo up. Now that's much better, but it's still not quite right. So let's go over to Arrange, and let's bring that all the way to the front. But now it's just covering everything up. Well, it would look better if it had transparent sides, and you could open Photoshop and create a PNG, but wait, this isn't an Adobe class. Let's just do this right in Keynote. With that center image selected, back on the Format pane, Center tab again, and then you're going to click Instant Alpha. This is a really powerful area, and look, we're going to select the green on the outside, and it disappears. Now it's still in the middle of the letters, so let's go find that. See the nice little zoom tool that it gives us there, so we can select those. And each section will make all of that transparent. And click Done. And now our logo is clear. Looks much better on there. See, instructions pop up for you as you do that to select the color you want to make transparent. Drag to select similar colors, but that makes it really easy. Now it's your turn. You try it, and I'll wait for you right here. Okay, let's get hyper. Hyperlinks, that is. Okay, that pun is old, but it gives us a great transition to in this part. You can place hyperlinks in your presentation. Now, obviously, hyperlinks take us to web pages, even send emails right from your Keynote presentation, but you also have the option of adding a link to another slide. Keynote even gives you the option of linking a phone number. Now, the web page, email, and phone number links are great when you need to put a presentation online or even at a kiosk, and you want to give the viewer an action step. So let's create one that has them send an email. Let's create a new slide at the bottom here. And we'll do a center title slide. That'll make it easy. And let's create an action step. What do you think? Now, we want our users to tell us what they think. And if you put another text box with an email address underneath that, who's going to take the time to copy and paste that and compose an email? Let's make it easier for our audience. Let's right-click on this text and then go down to Add Link, and we'll scroll down to Email. Now we're going to add an email. What do you think? At gmail.com. Just for the fun of it, and we'll create a subject line of "This is what I think." So, easy enough, right? Now, you have a link right there on your document that will let your users follow that action step and send an email to you with the subject line and the address already entered in. It'll stand out in the recipient inbox as well. But now, what about the other types of links there? The one labeled slide gives you some navigation options, and this is a great way to make a presentation shorter or longer as you present to different crowds. It keeps you from creating multiple presentations on the same topic, or even better, for a standalone presentation, the viewer can select the link and see a different section of your presentation. Let's take this as an example. In our sample presentation, we see there are slide sections all the way around here, but let's create a link on the photo for the Miami office to jump over one slide just for the fun of it. So we're just going to click on the photo, right-click on it, and then go down to Add Link. And this time we're going to select Slide. Now you can have that link go to the next slide, the previous slide, first or last, the last one viewed, or you can even select the slide number. In this case, we want to select slide number 5. We just want it to skip one slide as it goes. And there's your link. It's right there. Now we'll test that. You can click that and it's going to ask you what you want to do in this view. But if we click play while we're on that slide, it works like any other link and goes right to the slide you selected. Let's test it. Click play. Here's our slide. Click the link and it jumps right to the next slide or to the one it skips. By the way, these are great for standalone presentations where you might use a table of contents even. All right, it's your turn. Pause the video, make a link, and when you come back, we'll chart a few things. All right, now we're going to have some fun with charts. Now, we can use any type of chart you wish, and there are actually 26 different options between 2D, 3D, interactive, and all the colors, but since I'm particularly fond of pie, we're going to use a pie chart for our example. And don't worry, the same principles apply to all of the types of charts, but let's get some data first. If you look in your folder with the demo file, you're going to see another text document that's called Work From Home Data. So let's go to the Finder and browse for that file. There it is. Double click to open, and there we go. There's our data that we need. Now we can copy and paste this over when we get our chart ready to go. Now, while you can use the File menu, you can click Insert and then Chart and select from any of the charts that they have there. I personally prefer to use the Chart button here on top of the screen. It's just, unless you know exactly what type of chart you need, this interface lets you look at them all, even the different color schemes. So, wow, that wood grain looks pretty cool. Let's use one of those. And since we have the options of 2D, 3D, and interactive, we're going to select a 3D pie chart. But first, we need to create a blank slide to put it on. So let's put this right after our table here. We're going to add a slide, put a blank slide in here, and then let's add our chart. So chart, 3D, there's our wood grain, and a 3D chart, and there it is. Now, notice with this 3D chart, you can change the axis of orientation based on grabbing that little control right there in the center and just dragging it around. That's actually kind of cathartic. It's very satisfying. Let's get our chart centered up though, and then let's edit the data. See, there's a blue box here that says Edit Chart Data. We'll click in that, and a little window will pop up. And that looks a lot like a table. Very, very familiar, isn't it? So we'll expand that so we can see everything. Now first, let's get our text copied in. So we're going to copy Flexible Schedule. See, each section at a time, we'll just copy and paste this in so we know where our data is going. And if you're wondering, I'm actually just clicking Command C and Command V to get all of these copied. I am a keyboard shortcut junkie. I can't help myself. Using Shift to select those, by the way, as we go. And then here's our last one, Other. And we'll paste that right there. Now let's get our numbers in. So we've got 40. We'll just type those in, 40. 30. Then our next two were 14 and 13. Except those should go there, 14 and 13. And then the last one was 3%. But now wait a minute, we've got an extra cell here. We'll deal with that in just a minute. Number of workers surveyed. Let's take and copy that, and we'll put it right here in that. Now, that's given us some stuff for our data. Now, again, if you're a Windows user moving to a Mac, you're going to find that many of the functions are similar, just using the Command key instead of the Control key. Little sideline there. Anyway, I use Command Tab to flip between those, just like you would use Control Tab to flip between a window on a Windows machine. So we've got our data copied over. Something still doesn't look quite right here because we've got too many columns. It's not following everything right. It doesn't match our data. So what we need to do is to select this column that's odd. See the arrow that comes up there? And then we're going to select that, and then we're going to delete that column. Now all of our data is going correctly. That looks much better. But those are just numbers to anyone else. What do they mean? Well, let's have our chart show some things. So on the radio buttons on the right side, you have some chart options. It's a title, legend, and caption. Now you can copy and paste the title, and the legend is going to be automatically filled for you from the data pane. And of course the caption, we can copy and paste that as well. So let's take a look. We'll put a title here, which we can edit, and then the caption, which we can edit, then the legend. There we go. Now, all of these things are text boxes we can work with. So let's take our title and copy that and paste it right here in the title. We're going to drag this down, and we're going to move things around where we can see them a little better. And we can even shrink that up to where it goes on the side and move that text box over there. Drag the whole thing up. And now our caption, we want to tell them how many people were surveyed. There it is. We'll edit the caption and paste it there. And there you go. Now again, all of these text boxes, we need to take and work on these so we can see what they look like. Let's change the font color to black so we can actually read it. See, just like working with any other text section, you can also change the style, but in our case, we're just going to change these to black so they can be seen. And then here we go. We'll select each one of these, and we'll make sure that that style matches, and the font color is black. Now, there we go. It's all cleaned up. See, Keynote has automatically created the text boxes for us with what each one of these matches. Change the font colors to black. There you go. Easy breezy. A great chart. Makes your presentation pop. And now it's your turn to do just what we did there. So follow along, back the video up if you need to, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, so let's take our charts to another level here. Now, 2D charts are great, 3D charts are better, but Keynote gives you the option of having an interactive chart. Let's try playing with one of those for just a moment. Let's go ahead and add another blank slide here, and let's insert an interactive chart. Click on Chart, and then Interactive. Let's scroll through some of the options we have here color scheme wise. Let's do one that matches our color a little better, and let's just do this upright chart here. Now, what you'll find is arrow keys at the bottom, left and right, so you can go through different months or periods of data as you're going through. If you wanted to show, for instance, sales numbers or stock changes varying between different stocks, or sales numbers between different regions like this one seems to show, it's a really, really great tool. And all of your chart data is right there where you can edit it just like before. Keynote makes this so very easy. Now, we could copy and paste some data into here, but I'm sure you're going to want to take a few moments and play with this. So go ahead and do that. See what kind of changes you can make to an interactive chart. By the way, one of the things about an interactive chart is you can create different builds on this, and each section will go as you click the slide instead of you having to interact with the slide. But we'll get to that soon enough. Go ahead and play with an interactive chart, and we'll come back in just a moment. Now imagine how nice it would be to have a little sound with this presentation. It could be something as simple as a drum roll to present the topic. By the way, please don't do that. It's actually kind of cheesy to have a drum roll. Or you could have a global corporate theme that plays through a presentation. Let's do something simple just to get our feet wet with that. So to add music to Keynote, unless you want to add it from your Apple Music library or add it to your Apple Music library, we'll need to go through the Choose option under the Media Add icon right here at the top. So we're going to click on Media and then Choose, but let's go all the way up to the very beginning to add this in. Media, and then Choose, and you're going to notice that I have a very convenient audio file for you, this upbeat and fun sports rock. So let's going to add that. We're going to insert it right here, and there is the button right in the center of your screen. Now you can move that icon anywhere you want, but it won't matter because it doesn't show when you're viewing the presentation. Now let's cause this audio to play automatically when this slide begins. So in the Format pane, you're going to see Audio and Arrange. Click on Audio. And then look for the checkbox here that says Start Audio on Click. We actually want to uncheck that so that our audio begins when the presentation begins. Now, if that box is checked, your audio won't start until you actually click the slide a second time. Unchecking the box, it'll start it as soon as the slide begins. Now notice you have some other options to edit the audio, so you can even trim the audio here. You can have it adjust, you can have it repeat it over and over, or even run it backwards and forwards. We've got lots of options there, but what we want it to do is to begin playing and even play as we go across slides. So watch how this happens. We'll click play. And there's our audio. So there we go. Our audio is playing. Now go ahead and make some noise on your own, and I'm going to resume when you are ready. Okay, let's get this thing down to size. Now, I know I told you that all this is saved in the background, but let's make sure that all of our edits are secure and all that other stuff that we've done is in here too. First, let's save the presentation. You can use the File menu and go down to Save, or just like it shows here, hit Command S and save our file. Now, let's shrink this just a bit. To reduce the size of the file, go down to Reduce File Size, of all things, and it'll bring up a pop-up box with the options that you have here. Now, the defaults are really good. Obviously, we want to scale the images down, and we want to remove the trimmed parts of movies and audio. We definitely want this to be the most compatible with all of the devices, and so most compatible is a good selection there. 1080p is also a good selection for movie quality, so that's a good one to keep. Now, however, best practice would be to keep your original file to work with and then reduce a copy of the file to save your changes. So we're going to hit reduce a copy, and it's going to bring up our window here, and we're going to add the word reduced to this one so we'll know the difference between the file sizes. And there we go. Created a smaller copy and you're done. Now, one more thing before we wrap up this section. Keynote automatically creates this as a single file document as opposed to a package. That way, all of your photos and audio are already combined in the final file. Now, if you'd like this as a package instead, you'll have to manually change the file type like this. You'll click on File and then Advanced, change file type, and then change it to a package. Well, that is the end of this section. So what did we cover here? We covered adding images. We even enhanced and customized the layout of our photos, and we made part of a photo transparent. We added hyperlinks and navigation to our Keynote presentation. We worked with charts and data for just a bit, and even added some audio to dress things up a bit. Finally, we reduced our file size before saving. By the way, that's really going to come in handy with the next section. Now, if you haven't taken a moment to try all of the file options in the last section, go ahead and do that now, and we'll begin section 3 when you come back. Well, now we're in section 3, and there is a lot of ground to cover. Now be sure you're taking notes and stay hydrated so you can pick up on all the things in this section. Now, you know Apple products are known for their ability to work with graphics and animation, so this part is where your Keynote presentation can really shine. First, let's level the playing field by making sure all of our slides have the same transition. Now, I know we're starting with the easy thing here, but let's go ahead. It really is as simple as just selecting all the slides and choosing a transition. So click the View button, and then we can select the Navigator view or even the Light Table view. Let's look at that, but we're going to get more into Light Table in just a few minutes. From there, you can select all the slides. You can simply draw a box around all of them, or you can hit Command A, which is usually my preference. Now, on the Format side of your screen, the right side, click on the Animate button. Now, We can choose something simple or we can jazz this up later, but for right now, let's click Add an Effect and let's choose Blinds. Now, if you're in another view other than Light Table, you can do a preview of this transition like you selected, but let's select Blinds and then let's go back to the Navigator view so we can kind of see how that looks. Let's hit Preview. Cool, right? Okay, so it's your turn to pick a transition and apply it to all of the slides. Then pause the video and get it all set, and we'll move on when you're ready. Okay, let's do an easy animation using a title slide. Now this will get you started into animating individual slides. Now for this one, let's go to the title slide in our presentation. Now select the title text, and obviously Animate is already selected. Now notice you have three options here. You have Build In, Action, and Build Out. Of course, you don't have to use all of those options, but just for fun on our title slide, let's go ahead and do all three. First, let's do a Build In. So we've got it selected. For this, let's do the anvil. That looks like fun. Wow, that's kind of cool. Now for the middle, for attention, let's have it blink. So we'll select Action, Add an Effect, and Blink. We'll preview that. Nice. All right, so we have our build in of an anvil, our action of blink, and then finally let's do a build out. You know what? Let's let the comet come in here and take care of that. There we go. Now I know that's a little bit cheesy, but play the slide to see what you have. There's our audio. Now that's kind of cool for all of that. That also included our audio. Pretty neat, huh? There you go. You click once for the build in, then for the action, and then for the build out. Now you give it a try, pause the video, and maybe select some better animations than I did. I'll see you in just a minute. Now, obviously, sometimes you're going to want multiple layers of text reveal, like for a bullet point. Now, let's go to our bullet point slide here, and let's animate that one. I'm going to go right over here. There's the one we edited. Now, first we want to animate our title, and we want that to come in first, so we'll select that first. Then we'll add an effect, and let's just use Fade and Move for that one. Now, the default is to go left to right. Let's make that go top to bottom just for the fun of it. Okay, so now let's get those bullets to come in. Orbit looks like it could be fun for that one. Let's add an effect, and we'll go to Orbital. And that looks very cool, except they all came in at the same time. So fortunately, Keynote has the answer to fix that right over here. On the right side, we're going to change to the delivery to by bullet. And then let's preview that. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Now, we want our photo to come in last since that's kind of making the point of the whole slide. And for that one, we'll just use a simple blur. And there it fades in. Now, you'll notice that on each of these slides, there is an order selector. For instance, our photo says order number 5. Now, that's a quick access button, so you can change the order that everything builds in the slide. If you click Build Order here at the very bottom of that pane, it's going to bring up a window so you can change these around to a different order and even set up automatic delays for them to start on. So why don't we have the photo automatically appear 1/2 second after the last bullet point appears. So we're going to select that one, and then we're going to have it start, instead of on click, we're going to have it start with build 4, since that's going to be the last one before this photo. Now we're going to change the delay, going to take that up to 0.5 seconds. And now, there we go. Let's preview that. And there it goes. See, that works pretty nice. Okay, now it's your turn. Pause the video, make these changes to your file, and then we're going to come back and animate a table. Now, tables can be a lot of fun here in Keynote as well. I know. Tables? How can tables be fun? Well, tables have some neat availability when you're animating them, so let's see what we can do. First, let's close our box here, and let's go to our table slide right over here. Now let's select the table and let's do a build in. So let's choose Move In for this one. We're going to add an effect, and then let's go down to Move In. Now, if you wanted to make this table slow reveal and come in all at once, you can do it just like that, but let's get this one some attention. Let's change the delivery from all at once to by cell. And now let's change the duration and the direction. Let's make the duration of the whole build 2 seconds. We're just going to raise that up right there. And then let's make the direction go from top right to bottom left. Now let's preview that and see how it goes. Now that actually takes a little longer than we were anticipating. So why don't we make the entire build go by in about 0.2 seconds. So let's reduce that and make them kind of jump in one at a time. Here we go, 0.2 seconds, preview that. Now, there we go, that's building our tower. Okay, your turn. You do the same while pausing the video, and I'll be right here when you come back. And we're back. Now we want to add some special effects to graphics and charts, so let's take a look and see how that looks. Let's use our chart as an example, but this can apply to any graphics really, anything that we insert in here. Go to the slide where we added the 3D chart like this. Now, when you click on that to add an effect, you're going to notice that Keynote automatically knows that you're working with a 3D chart because it gives you some 3D animation options right over here. Now that's going to look really sharp, but we want this to grow as we talk about it. So let's use 3D grow. That looks pretty neat. But let's change to delivery to by wedge. And then click on the build order. And we want to make sure that all of these steps are on click. Now what that will do is it will wait until you're ready to reveal each section as you go. So we preview it. It builds it one at a time. Now that's automatically, but let's see how that looks in the actual slide. Let's click play on this one. There's your first percentage. You can tell everyone a flexible schedule. Work from home location. Now we're going to tap this again. Time with family, 14%. Tap it again, don't have to leave home, 13%, and then a scant 3%. And you see that is a great way to make this operational and really make these graphics work with you as you present. Okay, now it's your turn to try it. Go ahead and pause the video and I'll wait right here until you're done. Now, as with all things Apple, Keynote has some really great options for making this whole presentation look really good. An interleaved build gives the look of video by using multiple animations and transitions all at once. Let's use our location and logo slide to give this one a try. It's our second slide here. Now we're going to make this look really sharp by getting the animations to all work together. First, let's select all of our location photos, and we're going to use the flashbulb animation. So let's go ahead and select all 4 of those. Now, you can hold down Shift, but that's not going to work, is it? Let's hold down the Command key to select all 4 of those. And now let's add an effect, and that way we only have to do it one time. Let's go down to flashbulbs. And look, it is automatically previewing that for us. Now, they're coming in one at a time, and that's cool. Now let's select the logo in the center. And let's use the scale big animation. That kind of zooms it in for us. Now that looks really sharp, but we're going to make this really pop and click on the build order down here in the lower right-hand corner of our screen. Now, select the first photo and change the start to after transition. Now, for each of the other builds, we're going to change that to with build 1. There we go. See how it's stacking those up? Now, we want the logo to come in at the end, so we're going to put a little bit of a delay on there. We're going to change that to with build 1, and we're going to delay it by, let's say, 1.5 seconds. That way, when you start this slide, everything's going to automatically come in. Let's move our box over so we can watch this and hit preview. Now all 4 of them come in, and there's our logo. See, that looks pretty sharp, right? Okay, now I know this will take you just a minute to do, so go ahead and pause the video, do this on your own, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, let's add some sound to one part of our presentation here. So over here, let's go back to the pie chart. Notice that the build order box stays up with us. Now, in your demo folder, there's a sound effect called short air puff. We're going to add that to our transition here, and here's how to do that. First, we have to get that sound on our slide, so click Media, and then choose, just like we've done before, and scroll down in our Keynote Training folder to Short Air Puff Transition. There we go. Let's insert that. Now, there it is on our slide. It's ready to go. Now we've got to get that sound to play every time we click to make the animation continue. So we're going to do that in the build order box. So build order is open already. Now we want to change that short air puff to with build 1. But if you just try to do it here, it's only going to give you with build 5 or after build 5. So how do we make this work? Well, we're going to drag it. Drag to reorder and group builds. Let's drag it up. And let's group it right here with the first one, and we're going to change that to with build 1. So now when that plays, so is this. Now we need to copy and paste that. So let's copy it, Command C, because right-clicking doesn't work in this box. Let's select this build and Command V, and it adds it to the bottom, of course. But let's drag it up, and let's Command V to paste another copy of it. Drag it up to that one, Command V for another, and one last time. Now let's go make sure that they all are running with the build. With build 1, now we need it with build 3, with build 5. You see how those are going odd numbers. The main build is the odd number, and the even number is our sound. There we go. We want it with the build there. And then finally, there we go, with build 9. So let's check that out. Now, this is not going to show you how this sounds when you just preview it here. So let's play this slide and see how it works. All right. There's our click. Now we've got some sound going along with our transition. That makes a nice transition and really makes a point there as that thing slides around. Okay, now it's your turn to make some noise on your own. Go ahead and do this, and I'll see you on the other side of this one. Okay, next we're going to change up some of our between slide transitions. Now there are actually 4 different types of transitions to choose from, and we'll make some of all of them. So let's change the transitions between slides 1 and 2 using a 2D effect. Now remember, the transition you add will be to go to the next slide, so select slide 1, and then we'll use the fade and move transition. So we're going to click change, and let's go down to fade and move. See, that's a pretty simple 2D transition. Again, remember the transition that you're choosing goes to the next slide, not the previous slide. Now let's do a 3D transition between slides 2 and 3. So select slide 2, and then let's change the transition to a cube spin. So we're going to click change, and let's go down to cube. There we go, and it just spins the cube there. Easy 3D. Now another thing they have available are object effects. So let's select slide 3, and let's change the transition that we set. So under object effects, what we're going to do is click change, and then we're going to scroll down to the ones that say object effects. Let's look for object revolve and select that one. Now that's going to cause all of your objects to revolve in there. Pretty neat transition, right? Okay, now finally, let's do a text effect, and just for some fun, let's make it sparkle. Okay, now let's do that on the next one. And let's change that transition, and we'll go down to text effects and sparkle, and there we go. All right, see, that was 4 things you can do all in this little section, but I bet you're ready to try this on your own. Of course, you can always back the video up if you need to, but go ahead, do each one of those types of transitions on your computer, and then we're going to do some custom animations next. Now, when it comes to transitions and animations, we've saved the best for last. Magic Move may be the best part of animations in Keynote. You have so much control over what happens in these transitions that once you learn this, you may decide to only use Magic Move on your slides. Now, Magic Moves requires 2 slides with the exact same text or object on each slide, so you can move your text and objects from one slide to another. So, to show you how this works, let's go to the end. Let's create another blank slide. And let's just say we want to use this for navigation in your presentation. So let's drag this somewhere up in here, just for the fun of it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a navigation bar, and we're going to use Magic Move to animate that navigation bar on the way in. So first on our slide, let's create a rounded box graphic. So we're going to go to Shape, and there's the rounded box right there. The rounded rectangle. So let's click that and drag it over this way. Let's enlarge that and get it where it kind of drags across our screen. Let's get that in position here and here. There we go. And let's drag it all the way off here. So now it looks like we've got a nice rounded menu, but that doesn't quite match our color scheme. So let's work on that. Let's go to Format It, and let's change that to a color fill. And there we go. There's our color that matches the rest of the presentation. So now let's create 3 navigation text boxes for this. Let's use some of our slide titles here. Let's create a text that says Decentralized Office. Then let's create another one that says Office Productivity. Drag that where we can see it. Let's create another one that says Work from Home Shift. Now, just because we want this to take place after, let's drag this up here right before Decentralized Office. There we go. Now these can be navigation for slides after this. So now what we want to do is make this look great in a final stage. So how does Magic Move help us? Well, first, let's get these moved onto here, and let's change our text color so we can see what's going on. And we'll even make these wrap as we go. There we go. There's 1. 2. And 3. Now I know these are out of order in our slides necessarily, but these are just navigation links. They can take us anywhere from anywhere. So now how is Magic Move going to help us with this? First, we need to duplicate the slide. So you're just going to right click here and click Duplicate. Now go back and click on the original slide. Under Animations, over here on the right, we're going to click Add an Effect, and let's go to Magic Move. See, that shows up, and it didn't before. Now, it's going to tell you all about this. Magic Move animates objects from this slide to their positions on the next slide. And you see that they do. We're going to click OK. Now you can drag your text and even that box anywhere you want them to be. So let's drag this one up here. Let's pull this one down here. Let's take this one way off over here somewhere. And why don't we take our box off and up to the right a little bit. Okay, now, interesting, right? Now, by the way, pro tip, if you want to hold down the Shift key while you're dragging an object to keep it in a straight line, that's a good idea as well. Now, everything is off the slide. Let's see how that looks. We click off of our objects, and then let's click Preview on our Magic Move and see what happens. That was great. So let's play that and see it full screen. There's our blank slide. Hit the space bar, And now our navigation bar is ready to go. Of course, you can do the hyperlinks like we talked about earlier. Now, you take a moment and do a magic move of your own, and I'll see you on the other side. Now, placing a video in a Keynote presentation is just as easy as placing any other media, like a photo. Video is another great way to make a point with a visual and can be very effective, of course. Let's continue our work from home theme and create a slide that gives us a launching point to talk about video conferencing. So let's start with a title slide. We'll put it way down here somewhere. There we go. Add a title. Let's use title top so we can insert our video underneath. There we go. Great. Let's just type a title in and we'll call it Video Conferencing. And now let's add our video. So let's click on Media once again and choose. Then select this video call file. Now here's where things can get dicey. So when you click Insert, you're going to notice there's a pop-up letting you know that this file might not play on an iPhone or an iPad. Now for now, everything looks good though. Let's click OK. It's going to insert the media, and wow, that's really big. So let's shrink it down to fit the middle of our slide and get it centered. There we go. Now, let's make it look more like our photos and give it that rounded edge. Let's go to Format, and then we'll go to Border Picture Frame, and there we go. There's our rounded edges already selected, just like we had on other media that we used. Now press play to check this. Looks like it's doing great here. So while we have this selected, let's go to Movie in our Format tab. Notice you have Style, Movie, and Arrange. Click on Movie, and then let's unclick Start Movie on Click. Now what will happen is it will come up as a still shot until you click once again on your slide. We want this just to start playing when you come up as you're making a verbal point and this video is playing. Now, it's your turn to give this a try. We'll see you in just a minute while you put some video into your slideshow. Okay, this next part could also fall under troubleshooting as well. You see, when you click play for the slide, watch what happens. That's rolling great, but now when we click play on the full screen, it plays and then it stops after just a second. It's not continuing to play. Let's go back to our slide now, and when you select that and play, it plays for a second and then it stops again. Plays for a second and then stops again. Well, the way to solve that is actually pretty simple. Let's go ahead and make sure this is optimized for iPhone and iPad. So you're going to do that by selecting your video, and then in the File menu, under Format, right up here at the top above Add Slide, you see File, Edit, Insert, Slide, and Format. We're going to scroll down to Movie, and then we're going to click on Optimize for iPhone and iPad. Now this one simple tool will fix a lot of video issues in your Keynote presentation and make it very easy to play. It makes it compatible for most of the screens that your presentation is going to play on, especially your Mac if you're playing it on that. And a bonus, it's going to play on almost any device in the Apple ecosystem. Let's try it again and see. This time the video didn't stop, so let's play the full screen slide. And there it goes. It's playing right along. It doesn't stop. That's just what we needed to do. Now, this wraps up this section. Let's review. First, we used a simple select all to create a global transition for all of our slides. Next, we worked on animating everything: slides, title slides, text, tables, graphics, charts. We created different types of animations like interleaved builds. We used 2D and 3D transitions. We even added sound and learned about Magic Move, which is a truly powerful tool. Finally, we added a video and we got it ready for smooth playback on all of our devices. Now, if you really want to level up, go back and do all of these sections one more time. And while you pause the video, I'll be ready when you come back, and we're going to work on customizing a theme in your own Keynote presentation. Well, it's time for part 4, so welcome back. Hey, you need to congratulate yourself at this point. You've made it this far and you deserve to pat yourself on the back. Now, we've gotten into some deep topics on Keynote, and I think you're beginning to see the power of this great little program. Now, let's really make Keynote your own. If you work at pretty much any corporation, large or small, you're probably going to have a set of guidelines for color scheme and layout. Now, many will even have the hex codes for your company's colors to keep things uniform on computer, web, and mobile device. Even if you don't have access to that, though, you can adjust your presentation in Keynote. Now, we're going to work on creating a theme that matches your company's settings, and you can base your theme off of any of the themes that Apple has in the app, or you can create from a blank one. For the purpose of this training, we're just going to work with the same file that we've been using. Let's start by making sure that all of our main slides match the color scheme and layout that we're using in our demo theme. Now, we're going to need to click on View, and then Edit Slide Layouts. And I know this one has been bugging you if you're OCD, but I purposely put a bad layout slide in here just for us to edit. So jump down to that one. It's at the very bottom of our list. And man, that thing is ugly. So let's fix that using the same tools you can use to match your corporate logos and so forth. First, let's make our colors match. You have a couple of ways to do that. If your company has a specific color scheme, you can very easily edit your colors just like this. So click on the slide layout that we're editing, and then we're going to click on the Format tab. Open that back up, and let's make sure that we're doing a color fill instead of a gradient or an image fill. Now, to select the color and to be very specific, you could click on this palette here, but that's not going to be quite close enough. So instead, we're going to click on the color wheel dot right next to that. Now, in the box that opens up, you're going to need more than just your eyes. We can go anywhere from our color chooser, the sliders, this selector here, the spectrum that's here, the crayon box, but in our case, we want to use the sliders, and we're going to use the RGB sliders. Now, if your corporation is using HSB or CMYK percentages, then obviously you'll need to use those. But for our purpose, we're going to select RGB because this is the only place to type in a hexadecimal code. In our case, the hexadecimal code we're using is 4A4A68. We hit enter, and now the colors match all the way across the slides. Look on the side over here, and you can see that it matches. So now we still have this white curved background thing that needs to go into place. So let's close the color box. Let's select this, and let's try to drag this over to where it needs to go. And we're just going to nudge this over until it's on the side. And we'll nudge this down until it's in the place it needs to be. Much nicer. That looks a lot better, but this could move accidentally. So let's change that. Now, under our Format tab, we have Style, Image, and Arrange. In this case, Arrange is where we want it to be. So we click on Arrange and then Lock. Now that's going to keep that in the background when you create a new slide. Now, we edited our layouts for this theme, but right now it's still just a slideshow. So how do we make this a theme so we can use it later? Well, that's very easy. Click on File and then scroll down to Save Theme. Now you're going to get a pop-up box that asks if you want to just save the theme to your hard drive or if you want to add it to the theme chooser. Now, if you want easy access on your Mac, add it to the theme chooser, which is automatically selected here. We'll actually do that, and we'll call it Big Company Theme. Just like that. Now, if you're the person in your company who sets up the slideshow themes for other users, you may need to send this theme to others in your company. If that's the case, you're only going to need to save it to your computer. So let's cancel out of this. And let's go back and File, Save Theme, and let's save it to the hard drive. And there we go. We'll call this Big Company Theme. And now that theme file is saved in your folder with all the other demo stuff. This way you can share that via email or even through iCloud documents sharing. Oh, and when we get to that, you're going to fall in love with the whole Apple ecosystem. One more thing, if your company doesn't have hex codes or CMYK or HSB, there's another way that you can select the color. Simply use the eyedropper right over here. See, we click the color wheel dot, opened up our dialog box, and then you can select the dropper and move over and find the color that you're looking for. Tap it. There you go. It's selected and you've got colors that match all the way across the board. Now, go ahead and pause this. You've got a little bit more to do than normal on this one. Go ahead and do this on your own, and I'll rejoin you in just a minute. Now, let's suppose you have a presentation you already created, but you need to convert it to the new custom theme you just created. Let's try that in Keynote. Now, just for the fun of it, let's apply a different theme to our current presentation. It's real easy to do, but first, we're going to do something that all good people should do, and that is save right where we are. Okay. Just for kicks, let's change the theme. You select File and then go down to Change Theme. Let's pick one. Oh, here we go. How about Showroom? That looks real racy. Let's choose that and see what happens to all of our slides when we do that. Now scroll through and you can kind of see how things look. You know, it's a pretty basic theme, but it's a little different from what we're doing. You do have to make some adjustments as you go through, but nothing really major. It's formatted to everything to fit just like we need it on almost all of our slides. You see, themes just make things much easier. And we learned how to create and save a custom theme and how to apply it to our presentation here in this very short section. By the way, another thing you can do is apply our custom theme back to our presentation, or you can just hit Command Z and undo. But anyway, we'll get ready to rehearse our keynote in our next section. As easy as that was, I shouldn't have to wait too long while you pause the video and do this yourself. I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, you can see that I've already redone and reapplied our main theme back to our demo file and selected the first slide again. Now, you know that you're in a better position than most because you or your company decided to make the transition to a Mac. But what if you still have people who work with PowerPoint? Or maybe you have some regular corporate presentations that you need to begin editing in Keynote. Well, Keynote is ready for you. It imports PowerPoint files as easy as 1, 2, 3. Here, let's open the demo PowerPoint file that I've got in our demo folder. Going to go File and Open. The Keynote's going to scan for fonts when you get ready to open that. Here's our demo PowerPoint. Open it up. And Keynote is beginning to open that, and it's scanning for fonts that you may or may not have and give you the opportunity to replace those. See, it comes up right here. This presentation has missing fonts. We're going to show those. Now, you can go down the list and replace all of them. For the purpose of this video, we're not going to replace them all, but you can see how easy this is. Let's take and replace Antonio with Palatino Regular, just for the fun of it. And there you go. By the way, if you need to apply your company theme to this PowerPoint and save it, you can do that too. Hit Replace Fonts, and there we go. See, it's opened it up. Even the transitions are there, as you can see by the indications on the side. Let's look at Animate and see which ones those are. See, it's pushing it. On each one of those, it's already set. So now it's your turn. Go ahead and open the PowerPoint file on your computer. Play around with that a bit, and I'll see you in just a minute or two. All right, let's say you've begun your keynote presentation, getting it set up and all that, but your colleague just can't give up using the Microsoft Office suite. What do you say to them? You say, no problem. Send your document right over. With Keynote and the other applications in your arsenal, you can bring all of those things over to your presentation right from even a Word document. So let's assume you've been sent a Word doc with a photo, a table, and a quote that need to be added to your presentation. Let's be sure we have our original demo file open, so we're going to close this one. And we won't save that, we'll just delete. There we go, here's our original file that we're going to go. And let's go to the very end, and we're going to go ahead and go to the Finder, and go back in here, and let's find our document. It's called Presentation Share. There it is. So that's a Word document, as you see, but it's showing a different icon than Word. What's going to happen when we click this? We'll double click, and it's going to open this in Pages. If you have Keynote, it's very likely that you have Pages on your Mac. If you don't, it's going to be a free download with your new Mac anyway. So don't worry, Pages opens and works just like Keynote as far as opening Microsoft files. This is going to be really easy. So let's move our photo first. We're going to copy that, and then let's go over to our document and let's add a slide. Let's find our photo placeholder. Here we go. Employee recognition. Easy enough. That'll work. So remember, that's a placeholder, right? So let's select that. And now let's Command V to paste. And there we go. How about that? That pasted our photo right into that. Now we need to create a new table and match the number of cells. So let's create a new blank slide at the bottom of this. And now let's take and create a table and put in there. We'll just do a very basic one. Let's go back over and look at our table here. It has 3 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So let's make sure that we have that. We're going to tell it we need 3 columns here, and we need 6 rows here. And let's make sure we shrink this up so that it matches the size of our document. Get that centered up. That'll look a lot better. Now let's go back over to our document. We're going to select all of the things in this table. Right click and copy. Now we're going to get on this first cell, and we're going to right click and click paste and match style. And there you go. See how easy that was? Super, super easy. Now, the easiest part is this. We're going to copy the text and paste it. Add a slide. Go to the quote slide. Let's go over here and get our quote and put it in place. Just select that. Command C or right click and click copy. Let's go back over to our Keynote presentation. Click on our quote. Make sure we have it all selected. Right click and paste. There you go. Now, who was that attributed to? The great Oprah. Let's copy that. Paste it over here for this. And there we go. It's all set. See, there's no need to have any anxiety when importing from the Microsoft Suite into Keynote. In this section, this very short section as well, we imported a PowerPoint file, and then we imported text, tables, and graphics from a Word doc. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and do these things, and I'll wait right here for you to finish up, and then we're going to get some rehearsal time in. Okay, it is now your time to shine as we begin part 6. You've worked really hard, and you deserve the applause that you're going to get with this presentation that you created in Keynote. Let's get ready to present, and make sure you're taking good notes here. There's a lot that you can do with Keynote. First, let's make sure that our presentation is ready to go and in the right order. You're going to need to open the Light Table view by clicking on View and then Light Table. Real simple, right? Now that gives us an overview of all of the slides. By the way, in case you haven't noticed it yet, there is View as part of the File menu as well, right up here, and you can change each one of those as well. This view gives us an overview of everything you're presenting and allows you to rearrange as you need to. Now this presentation is pretty short, so let's increase the size of our thumbnails right down here at the bottom. Hey, that's much better. Let's take them all the way up. No, that's too big. Let's go down so we can make sure we see all the slides. See, our size can be adjusted with the tab right down there, and that's much better on these older eyes for sure. Let's rearrange something. For instance, why don't we move our Steve Jobs quote to right after the title slide, kind of be a little inspirational. Go right up to the beginning. There we go. See, you can also use this to skip slides if you want to, and that grays them out. By the way, you can also hide skip slides by choosing the box here, and that's going to make that disappear. But we want to make sure we can see everything. You can even do that with multiple slides, just like this. Let's select our Magic Move slides and hide those as well. And those are skipped, but we're going to keep those in our presentation for now. See, you can use Light Table View to change your transitions between your slides as well. Just like when we use the thumbnail view, you can select the slide and the transition and the formatting. All of those options are available when you get ready to do that. Now, you take just a moment, pause the video, play with the Light Table View for just a few moments, and you don't even have to worry about sneezing on this one and getting things out of order. And I'll be ready when you come back to talk more about rehearsing our presentation. You're back, and that was fast too. Okay, all kidding aside, if you're like me, you're going to be reviewing your slideshow and then suddenly something comes to mind that you need to remember for this presentation. Maybe it's a VIP that will be attending and you want to make mention of that when you get there. Or it could be something as simple as something that came to mind when you see a photo on your presentation. It could be that you're collaborating with someone else on this presentation and you think there's something that needs to be edited or added. Let's leave a comment so the editors who are working with you can see this. So let's go back to our view and go back to the navigator. And on this particular slide right here, this Miami skyline photo, maybe we could find a daytime shot instead of the sunset shot. So let's leave a comment to that effect. Right up here at the top, comment. And there's my name, so it knows who's leaving the comment. And let's put, can we get a daytime shot instead of this sunset shot? There we go. Easy enough, right? We'll drag that over to the side just so it stays out of the way. Now, that's in place, but that's not going to display when you're running your presentation. It's only a view for an editor's comment. Let's make sure that that's the case. We'll click play on this slide. And sure enough, you can't see the comment at all, but the reminder will stay there for you to see. Now, comments are also not viewable in the Light Table View. See, it's not showing up there as well, so you'll have to be sure to check slide by slide in the thumbnail or in the navigator view or in single slides. Now it's your turn to leave a comment on your slide, that is. Pause the video, put a comment on one of the slides, and then we'll continue in just a moment. Okay, I have to admit it, I am a man out of my time. Most of my generation prefers to write things down and have a pen and paper handy, but I am just not like that at all. I prefer to have my notes in a digital format. If you're familiar with PowerPoint, then presenter notes are no stranger to you. This is the best way to make sure all of your notes for each slide are with you, even if you have to print it out. And we'll talk about that in the next section as well. Anyway, let's work on presenter notes. Now, I've already prepared a few in our demo presentation, but unless you've been peeking under the hood, you haven't seen them yet. Now, for this, I prefer to have the navigator view up. Make sure it's there. And you're going to scroll down and click on Show Presenter Notes. Now, you can also do this by clicking up in the File menu under View, and then scroll down to Show Presenter Notes. It's got a keyboard shortcut as well. How about that? So there we go. Here they are. Simple yet elegant. We have a few of them here already typed in for you. And notice how you can edit the text much like anywhere else in the presentation. You can make it bold, you can italicize it, you can underline it, you can change the size of the font, you can even change the font. Any of those things, just like you can anywhere else in the document, just like in a word processing document. Now, you can also see how these work for you by changing the way your presentation demos for when you're testing this. See, right now, when we click play, it goes full screen. In this case, we want to click play and change it to in window. Now, when you click play, your slideshow will give you not only what your viewers get, but also what you can see as a presenter. There you go. Presenter notes right there for you. They give you a lot of flexibility. So now you go ahead and play with presenter notes for a moment, and I'll be waiting here right when you get back. Okay, you remember the old joke about how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Well, it's time to practice your presentation. And this really is a very powerful part of Keynote. It allows you full control of your presentation as you're going along. All you have to do is click on Play up here in the File menu and then go down to Rehearse Slideshow. And here it is in full screen glory. But I don't see any options here. Where are all the options? Well, for that, you've actually got to move your mouse around. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is this question mark right up here. The Riddler hasn't been on your computer. This is actually going to give you a list of keyboard shortcuts when you click on that. It'll show you all of the things you can do. And by the way, I've been telling you all along that Keynote is a very powerful program, and all the options that you have right here for keyboard shortcuts shows you just how powerful this program is. Now let's close that and look at this icon over here. It looks like Legos. And when you click on that, you have options for the current and next slide, presenter notes, clock, timer, all of these things. The main thing you might need in your rehearsal would be the presenter notes, so we want to make sure that one is checked. You can also customize this display as well. Just click on Customize Presenter Display. And now you can click on anything in here and change its position, change its size, drag it around, put it where you want it to. I'm going to use auto layout here though, just because it's very useful. Now, as you rehearse your presentation, you're going to notice that the timer up here is very helpful, showing you how long your presentation is taking. It won't start until you actually click on one of the slides though. I mean, there are just so many options here. So take a little extra time and play around with this rehearsal view, and I'll be waiting right here. Okay, rehearsal is done. It's time to present. And there are several ways to do this. Let's begin with the most basic. In the File menu up here under Play, let's change that back to full screen so it'll do that. And then you're ready to present this right here on your computer. Click Play, and it's waiting on you everywhere you go. Now, of course, you can't see your presenter notes this way, but you're ready to present and people can see it right there on your computer. All the standard keystrokes work here as well. You can use the space bar to advance slides in order, or you can use the right arrow key to go forward and the left arrow key to go backward. As always, hitting the escape key ends the show. And I know that's really simple, but go ahead, take a few moments, do this part on your own, use the keyboard to go back and forth in your slideshow, and we'll continue here in just a minute. Now, best case scenario, you're going to have your MacBook to control this presentation from. This gives you access to the full menu of controls as well as your presenter notes. Now, you're going to need to have access to an external screen, and this is where the Apple ecosystem can really shine. Of course, you can plug an external HDMI adapter into your MacBook, but in this case, we're just going to display to an Apple TV as an external monitor. This lets us present from across the room without even stopping to connect any wires. That source I've already got selected, and so we'll get ready to run our presentation. Now, you remember the rehearsal view from before? Well, here it is again in all its glory, and it looks just like the rehearsal view, but now you're controlling the show from here. All of the options are still here for you, even the keyboard shortcuts, all of the changes in the view, and all the controls. Oh, by the way, that timer that we set up before, again, it won't start running until you click the screen or move to the next slide. Now, if you have access to an external display, go ahead and get that set up and play with this for a minute or two. If you don't, it's okay. Go ahead and jump over to the next part. Now, if you're using a Mac, you really should be using an iPhone or an iPad, or maybe even an iPod Touch as well. Let me show you how well these devices work together in the Apple ecosystem. Now first, we have to link the device. So when you open Keynote on your iPhone or iPod Touch, you're going to click on the upper right-hand corner a little icon that looks like an iPhone with a play button. And right there, it tells us exactly what we want, that you can use your iPhone or iPod Touch as a remote control. Click Continue, and now you have to go back to your Mac. At the top of your screen, click on the word Keynote, and then scroll down to Preferences. Now we're going to make sure we've got the Remotes tab selected, and of course now everyone knows that I'm a Star Wars fan, but let's link the phone anyway. And there's a code that we can confirm on both the phone and the computer that they match, and now the phone is linked up as a remote control. Close the Preferences panel, and you're ready to control your presentation with your iPhone or iPod Touch. Click the green play button, and there we go. It's controlling the slideshow. But that's just the beginning. A simple tap advances to the next slide, and even does our builds. Just like that. Tapping, it brings each one in. And that's just the beginning. You can change the view you're using by tapping this film-looking icon at the top of the screen. You can show current or next slides, or both, or notes. You've got just a lot of options here that you can work with. But what if we wanted to highlight something? So you see the icon that looks like a paintbrush with a big swirl around it. Click on that, and now you can use that to circle the total number on your main screen. There you go. See, that circle shows up in the main presentation. That's a great tool for making a point while using your iPhone or iPod Touch as a remote control. Now, the same controls are there on the iPad, only it looks more like your rehearsal view, and you have a lot more screen real estate. The same controls are there on the iPad, only you've got a lot more screen real estate to work with. You can even make that look a lot more like your rehearsal view. Current and notes, current and next, all of those things are available. See how nicely that pairs up? It's almost like you're presenting from your MacBook already. Okay, hopefully you have another Apple device that you can pair up with. Take a few minutes, get your device paired up, and I will see you on the other side. There are times when you'll create a slideshow that doesn't need a presenter. Perhaps you're creating a presentation that would run on a loop in a company lobby or maybe a break room. For that, you can record your slideshow timings and even add a voiceover if you wish. Let's see how that's done. For this, at the top of your screen, click on the word play and then go down to record slideshow. See? First, your software may ask you to access your microphone. Go ahead and grant access for that. Now, again, this looks just like the rehearsal view, but there is an addition. On the bottom left corner, there's a very familiar set of controls. Now, you can record a voiceover if you wish. The microphone is active automatically, but if you don't, then be sure to click the button right there, and that'll cut that off. When you're ready to record, click the button, and it'll go 3, 2, 1, and it will begin recording all of your slide timings. All of the slide timings will be recorded as you go through, even all the way to the last slide. Now, we're going to go through our short little slideshow very quickly to get all these in, but you get the idea of how this is done. We're making this hit very, very fast, and there you go, moving along very quickly. And just tapping through just to get these slide timings done. See, all of our animations are showing up wonderfully. Doesn't this thing look great? See, even the video began like it was supposed to. Then we're going to jump over to this one, bring these guys up, and there's our last slide and the end of the show. Now, we're going to hit stop on the recording, and we'll hit escape. And now when you click play, this is how it's going to do. You click play, and your computer's going to ask you, do you want to present this slideshow on your computer or play the pre-recorded slideshow? That's what we want to do. Let's see how it does. There we go. Automatically. You see how easy that was? Now, you try it, and I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, another scenario we might encounter is a kiosk, where you want a user to interact with your slideshow. Do you remember those hyperlinks we created earlier? Or maybe you want them to just advance your slides by clicking as they finish reading them, or to auto-present. Well, all of those options are found in the document portion of our format pane on the right. See, so we click on document. It gives us options to automatically play the show when it's opened, to loop the slideshow, got to hit the escape key to exit there, and even to restart and go all the way back to the beginning if no one is using it for a certain length of time. Now, that's especially helpful if you want a user to get the full experience from the very beginning. Now, if you want this to be truly interactive, then you need to select one of two options in the presentation type roll down. If you select links only, then it's going to change slides when they click the links or an arrow key that shows on the screen, and that will advance to the next slide. If you select self-playing, then it's going to move based on timings that you set in these boxes right here, or the timings you set when you recorded your show, like we did just a few moments ago. Now, let's do this one as self-playing and then give it a shot. Remember to hit the escape key when you're done and unpause this video after you get through playing with it so we can continue. So, you're almost a Keynote expert now, but you're having a little bit of trouble. Something on your presentation is not working right and you've only got 15 minutes before the big meeting. Well, here are some troubleshooting steps that can help point you in the right direction. First, check the document setup. Make sure that your presentation type is set to normal if you're presenting it yourself, and make sure all the other boxes are unchecked. Next, check all of your slides in the light table view. Make sure that nothing has been skipped that you need to use, or especially the first part of a magic move slide. Now third, be sure and check your build orders. Sometimes when you go into animation and click the build order section, sometimes you can accidentally move something as you're checking it. So be sure that your build orders are in the right place, or that there are actually builds in there for you to reorder. Finally, if all else fails, remove the build and transition from the slide that doesn't work right. You know, there's a saying among presenters, better nothing on the screen than the wrong thing on the screen. If a transition is failing or something isn't displaying right, remove the build and the transition. Most of the time, that will fix the issue. And even if it isn't flashy, your information will still be on the screen to reinforce your point. And that's truly what a presentation is, right? You know, even with all this powerful software at your fingertips, the goal is for it to reinforce the point that you're making verbally. Now, this isn't necessarily a part where you can go and try it yourself unless you have a presentation that's running bad. So let's go ahead and review what we've covered in this section. We looked at the light table view and then added some comments and presenter notes. We rehearsed and ran your presentation both full screen on your Mac and using a separate display. We looked at powerful remotes that you have using an iPhone or an iPod Touch or even an iPad. And then we wrapped up by setting our self-running and kiosk slideshows, and even looked at a few troubleshooting steps. Now, this would be a really good point to review this whole section again before we wrap up by publishing your presentation. Pause the video and rewind it if you need to, and I'll be here to wrap this up and put a neat little bow on it when you get back. Publishing your presentation can be nerve-wracking as you think about all of the possibilities. However, thanks to your Mac and the Apple system, you have many possible ways to send it out, and all of them work great. Handouts, PDF, heck, this even makes a PowerPoint presentation look good. Okay, enough already. Let's get this thing out of your computer and into the wild world. First, let's explore exporting a PDF. Now we've got our demo presentation loaded, so we're just going to click on File, and then Export to, and select PDF. Now the box that pops up has all of the export options here, but we're just going to look at PDF. Now PDF obviously is a universal format that can be read on pretty much any device, and we have all the options we need to make a great PDF export. The basic options are already set. None of the boxes are checked here, so your PDF is just going to consist of the slides. But let's say that you're presenting and your colleague or maybe an assistant, if you're fortunate enough to have one, is running the slideshow for you. Well, then it might be a good idea to run a PDF with the presenter notes on there, and that'll give you one slide per page with the presenter notes at the bottom. The print each stage of builds checkbox is a good idea if you have a slide that needs a build-up, like our pie chart slide that we used. If we wanted to make a point as each portion is filled, it would remind you to stop at each one. Or if you're not necessarily doing this for speaker notes and you needed to add each section for effect in your PDF, as someone is looking in this on their computer, then each stage of a build is a very good idea. Of course, passwords are always a good idea for securing your document. You can choose to include slides that are skipped if you have some that are skipped and you need to get the whole thing to a colleague that might not have Keynote or PowerPoint. And you can even include the comments in the PDF. Okay, Let's just export a basic PDF with the presenter notes so you can see how that looks. So we've got that selected with the presenter notes. Then we'll click Next. And now it's going to bring up our very familiar file dialog to ask where to save it. We're going to save it right where we use our demo folder. And there it is. All done just like that. Now on your Mac, let's go to the Finder and we'll double click on that. Here's our demo file. This one's the PDF document. Double tap it and there you go. Each slide has its presenter notes right underneath it. How about that? A PDF you can follow as you present. Okay, you give this a try and we'll continue in just a second. Okay, even though you and I are now Keynote fans, many people and places are still using poor old PowerPoint. Well, that's okay because as Mac users, we're a very inclusive family. We can send our presentation right to a PowerPoint file just like we can import a PowerPoint file. So let's do that one next. Again, we'll go up to File, Export to, and we'll select PowerPoint. Now this one is super simple. The only option you might need to check is if the person that you're sharing this PowerPoint file with needs a standard PPT instead of PPTX. If they're using an older version of PowerPoint, they may need a more compatible file. You can still send them that. Just click on Next. We're going to choose where to save it at. And there you go. See? Where's my easy button? Okay, you give this a try and I'll be waiting right here when you get back. Now, if you just need to export the images from your presentation, it's never been easier. For instance, you could use the powerful editing tools in Keynote to create slides and then export the images on a thumb drive to put on a television in a lobby or a waiting area. I've personally used Keynote many times for this, for images and movie exports, and we're actually going to talk about movie exports in just a minute. So again, let's do images, File, Export to, and then we'll go down to Images. Now, just like with the print dialog box, you can choose which slides you want to export, all or select some of them. And for our purposes, we're just going to do all of them. You can also choose to create an image for each stage of your build. We don't want to do that at this point on there, but you may need it in the future. Then you can select the quality of the image. You can go with a high resolution JPEG, a lower resolution JPEG, PNG file, which will be more web compatible, and you can even use a high resolution TIFF file, which would be good for printing. In this case, let's select the smaller file size JPEG option and save on some hard drive space. Now when you click Next, it's going to ask you where you want to store these. This export will create as many files as you have slides, and it's going to number them beginning with the number 1. Now here, it might be a good idea to create a new folder like this. We're going to call it Images. Click Create, and then Export. It's going to create all of the images that we have, and let's go take a look and see what our file folder looks like. Finder, Images, and notice it created another file folder in there for us. And there's all of our JPEG files, just like we wanted, all 17 of them. Okay, now it's your turn. Pause the video and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Now, making your presentation into a movie file is going to require a year of film school and knowledge of Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere. And actually it doesn't. I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding. Keynote makes this easy and powerful. Let's go again to File and Export to and select a movie. Now here we have a few options. The first choice in your roll down is actually self-playing. Now what that means is that your slides and your builds, all those transitions will use the same timing that you designate in this dialog box. Now there's another option. If you rehearse the timings like we did earlier, it'll be available to you as slideshow recording. Now, all of your timings and even a voiceover, if you recorded that, are just like you recorded them. Of course, you can choose to export all or some of your slides if you use the self-playing option, and you can also choose the resolution that works best for you. 720 works for smaller devices, and 1080 works for Retina display and Apple TV. If you already know a different resolution that you might need, you can change all of those options by clicking Custom. You can change your screen size, your frame rate, the compression type. All of those options are available for you right here. Now, let's click the slideshow recording button, click Next, and our old faithful dialog box pops up. We're just going to click Export and wait on it to build our movie file for us. Simple, right? There you go. You made a movie all right here in Keynote. Super easy to do. Okay, now it's your turn. You go ahead, create your own movie file, open it up and make sure it plays right, and I'll be waiting right here when you come back. Okay, if you need to publish this to a website, there are options for you as well. You know, back before 2011, there was a program called iWeb that was a precursor to many places like Squarespace and Wix, and Keynote would allow you to publish directly to iWeb as you built your site. Now, the need to publish to HTML is a little more rare, but we have that option. Now, a good example of an export to HTML would be for an interactive kiosk, like we've done before, where you want to allow a user to click links in your presentation to take them to different slides, but the kiosk is a PC. You can export the presentation to HTML, and the links will all work, and you can use Chrome or the Edge browser to view it. So let's quickly explore this option. Once again, we click File, Export to, and HTML. Now, as you can see, there are no customizations available here, so simply click Next, and our dialog box comes up so we can save it. Like with our images, this might be another good place to create a new folder and name it. We'll just call this one HTML, and there you are. Now, click Export, and it's there. How does that look? Well, we're going to have to go to the Finder and find out. See what I did there? While it's creating this HTML document, you can go over to the Finder and begin to see it. I get it. Okay. So when you open index.html, when it finishes this, it's going to open it in your default web browser. We're going to let this finish up and go over there and take a look. Let's go to Finder, and there's our HTML folder, Keynote demo file folder, and index.html. Let's click it, and it's going to open Safari on mine, and there's our slideshow. It's going to use automatic timings just like you recorded, or using default timings. So now it's your turn. When you pause the video, give this a try on your own, and I'll be right here when you get back. No school like the old school, right? We need to print some handouts. So let's look at the options we have here and how they might just be useful to us after all. This time you can click File and scroll down to Print, or if you're like me, hit Command P and it brings up the print dialog box. Now this looks pretty basic, right? Well, let's supercharge it by clicking Show Details. Now you really have some options. If you just need to present on a small screen in a large room, but you want the people attending to see the details, you could have it print just the slide. You have the option to add your presenter notes and even the comments that you wrote earlier in all of these checkboxes down underneath that. You can also include your name and the date at the bottom of each page, and you can have it abide by the page margins that the printer may have as well. If you select the grid view, well, you can select anywhere from 2 to 16 slides per page, but you don't have the option to hide your comments that you have on there, so be careful with that one. Now, let's say that you're presenting in a classroom live or in a training situation, and you want your participants to have a place for notes. The handout is the perfect way to do that, and you can select anywhere from 1 to 4 slides per page as you go. You can also include your presenter notes on there, but that takes away the notes lines that you have, just like that. So personally, I prefer leaving the notes line for them to take notes on. Then, of course, the outline printout gives you just the outline that you created earlier. And the only option that you have there is to include the name and date at the bottom of the file. The handout print is the only one that does not give you the option to print slide backgrounds or not, to print each stage of a build or include skip slides or use low-res photos and graphics. So for our purposes, let's imagine that we're doing a training session and we want to print a handout. So let's select handout. Let's add the slide numbers. And let's make sure our name and date are at the bottom. And to conserve paper, we're going to do 4 per slide. Now click print, and there you go. Now pause the video as you try this. If you're at work and you have to walk down to the copy room for your printouts, I may have to wait a little longer, but go ahead and do it anyway. I'll be right here when you get back. Keynote Live is a new function that is designed to work much like a Zoom or a Teams meeting. In this case, it's just one-way communication, but with this option, you can do a virtual presentation to your team from anywhere. Now first, you're going to want to make sure that your document settings are where you are controlling the show, unless you want this to be automated. Let's click on Document, and presentation type is normal. Good. So now, click on Share here at the top of the screen, and then use Keynote Live. See, you can present a live slideshow anywhere. They can watch on a Mac, an iPhone, an iPad, or even on the web on any device. Once you send them the link, of course. Now click Continue, and now you have options on how to send this invitation. You even have the option to play this later if you need to set this up. As you click Invite Viewers, you can send it through your email, through messages, you can copy the link, you can airdrop it to a nearby device, you can even set reminders for this. Under More Options, there's the link you can copy again, and of course you can have it require a password, which is usually a pretty good idea. Now for this one, I took the liberty of sending the link to myself, so let's go ahead and play now, and it will go ahead and go full screen on us so we can work with it, but it's going to remotely present on my iPad just like this, and we have full control of our presentation as we go. Now, of course, you could also record the slideshow and a voiceover and present it that way here as well. This is such a powerful tool for you to be able to present remotely over a company network, or as you work from home, or even like me teaching a class from home. Okay, you get a chance to try this. Go ahead and try to send the link to someone you know who might need to learn Keynote, maybe learn Keynote from Learnit, and they have a Mac as well. Hint, hint. And I'll be ready with our very last thing when you come back. Okay, this is our final stop on our tour of Keynote, and it is really a very powerful option. Collaboration via iCloud allows team efforts in the entire Apple iWork suite, and as powerful as this is, it's really very easy to do. Let's take a look at this. At the top of your window, you can click Share and go down to Collaborate with Others, or you can simply use the button right here on top of your screen that says Collaborate. Let's click on that, and now you have the option to share via email, through messages, you can copy the link, you can even airdrop this to someone with a nearby computer. You can also choose who gets access, only people you invite or anyone who gets the link. So if you need to send this to others who need to send it to others, that works as well. And you can give permission to make changes or to only view this. Now, I've already taken the liberty of sending this out, but let's check it out and see how mail works. Share, and it brings up a window where we can simply send it to someone. There's the subject line, which we can update and open the shared presentation. Really easy. And with a fast enough internet connection, you can actually edit the presentation along with others in real time, and those changes will be reflected on your screen as well, instead of having to email change notes back and forth. This is a real time saver. Okay, you take a moment and share this with someone who can collaborate with you on this file, and we'll be back to wrap things up in just a moment. Well, I have to say, this has been fun. I have really enjoyed sharing with you all the great things that Keynote can do. Let's recap really quickly. We learned the basics of opening the program and working with themes and master slides, formatting text and layouts, and we even corrected some spelling errors of mine. Then we worked with graphics and sound, added photos, hyperlinks, and even reduced the file size. We worked with video, animations, slide transitions, and then we created a custom theme. We imported from Microsoft programs and practice. We got our presentation ready to present by rehearsing and even recording it. Then we wrapped up with all the ways to share your presentation, even with Keynote Live and collaborating via iCloud. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey. Be sure to check out other training from Learnit by heading over to learnit.com. Have a great day.